Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Trying to wrap some things up here, and it seems like every time I turn around I'm just one thing shy. So I got Chantz's 925. He found the clutch and sprocket kit for me, mailed it over. I'm out of 3/8 rims. I mean, this is ridiculous. You'd think I'd be able to figure that one out before I ran out, but I guess not. So anyway, the other piece of that box were a couple carbs off of his whatchamacallits. God, brain's not working today. His XP-1020s. And he said they just wouldn't idle for sour owl manure. Now, I've been through both of these carbs. I'm not really sure what the problem might be, to be honest, but I thought what I would do, the only saw I can get to that's even close to that 1020 is this behemoth here, which, God, now I'm trying to remember. Yeah, this is a 2100S. And while they are not the same carb, they're close enough. So I'm going to bolt that onto this guy with any luck. And this carb honestly needed a little work anyway. I'm not sure I've been through it. In fact, I'm almost certain that I haven't. It was one that I was able to get to run out of the box, but it's never idled quite right. Just, yeah. Knowing what I know about the rest of the saw, I mean, I think it's a decent saw, but I also think that perhaps it needs some help. And I see some fuel dripping out of the carburetor throat right here, so I think that needle leaks. Anyway, I want to bolt one of these on here and see if I can just get it to run and see what it does. The XP's had this weird idle air port. A hose runs off of the cylinder, the base of the cylinder up to here, and as you open this up, it lets a little air leak in. Now, I'm honestly not sure what in the hell that idea was about, unless these saws ran better, or those XPs would run better when they were a little bit rich in the cut, and the way you balance that out for a decent idle was to introduce essentially an air leak. I don't know. And what it does is it pulls air from that little hole right there up in, and that screw meters how much of it's going to get down into the crankcase through the base of the cylinder. So it's an interesting setup. I have a 1020 that runs quite nice, but it's buried up in the attic. Now, there is no, I'll be damned. There's no idle speed screw on this. I should have looked at a 1020 manual to see if there's something coming in from the side of the air box, or if it's going to rely solely on that valve. That's interesting. I may not be able to... Yeah, I think I can make that fit in there. We'll see. This may be a fool's errand. What the hell? It's not like I've never been down that road before. Would be better if I could bolt to this intake manifold. But I gotta take that loose. This is probably a giant waste of time. But I've been through those carbs thoroughly, and I don't know what would honestly still be wrong. Pressure tested this one as it came out of the box, and it held just like it should. Are you kidding me? Are there already screws on? I didn't dig it out. But again, I don't feel too bad about pulling this carb off because it does need some attention. It's sitting here leaking fuel into the air box, so that inlet valve is not a happy camper. If I can avoid the siphoning fuel back out of the tank, that'd be for the best. Oh yeah, that is dripping. What a nice little mess. I will attempt to bolt Chantz's carb to this manifold. I shouldn't say attempt, I know that part will work. Now without an idle speed screw though, all I'm going to be able to do is kind of hold it with my finger on the trigger and see what happens. These bigger saws, these 2000s, 2100s, they use a 6-reed setup in here. So their intake elbow is completely different. Got a hexagonal shape here. I'll show you guys when I... Oh, this is pulling the damn stud out. You've got to be kidding me. Why does this kind of crap always happen when I'm trying to do a video? And I'll bet bigger than crap I won't be able to find my pair of vice grips that I actually need to do this right. This is going good. About par. I've got at least 2 pairs of needle nose vice grips, and I'll be damned if either one of them is where they belong. Jeez. Come on. Needless to say, I will have to chase those threads with a die before they can go back in. But something. Alright, there we go. That's off. Except I've got to chase them right now and reinstall it with some Loctite. That'll make the video a hell of a lot longer than it needed to be. Anyway, the goal here is to get a test run on a known good saw so that I can see if what the carb's doing, number one, and that way I can kind of know where I need to go with this. Sure do wish. Wow. This isn't going to be quick and easy. Somebody has roached these threads. These used to be fine thread and they forced 1/4-20s on there. So we'll take a pause. Okay, well, that was interesting. I had to replace one of these studs entirely. But let's see if this thing will start and run on that carb. do this without ripping it out of my hands. This is not convenient. Come on. Oh, come on. Enough already. Seriously. Okay, well, again, I would love to be able to set this to something that is exact, but I can't. There is no idle speed screw. But it seems like it's running right. You know, I'm just holding my finger on the carb, or on the trigger, just a tiny bit to get it to idle there. I mean, it's just barely moving that linkage. Now, there isn't excessive movement, but there is some. There could be an air leak around this throttle shaft. Now, it's not going to be a huge air leak, but it might be enough that it does change the tuning a little bit, you know, as you're revving up. I would say there's somewhere between a 30 seconds and a 64th gap that opens up in there. So that could be part of it too. Let's take a look at this other one. I have had to get rid of carbs that just plain were worn out. Yeah, this one's got the same thing. You guys remember the get-together with TJ with my big XP-1020? That one was so worn I actually had to replace the carb. But let me see if I can get this zoomed in without bumping you guys around too badly and show you what I'm talking about. Now everybody's got ideas of bushings and building it up with JB Weld and all this other jazz. Maybe some of that would work, maybe it wouldn't. Alright, watch the brass looking piece, the throttle shaft itself, as I move the trigger. See how that's opening up? That is enough to change the tuning. So, can't do much about that. I say, you know, a machine shop probably could drill that out and press in a bushing of some sort. A bronze bushing would be best. But all in all, I think you ought to be able to set the idle well enough. It may not idle for 10 minutes at a time, but that's, you know, real life, that doesn't happen. But this idle air intake port, if this is hooked up on your saw, Chantz, like I think it is, it's going to draw air through here and then into the cylinder, or into the crankcase, through the base of the cylinder there. And this screw right here is going to control how much air movement there is. So I'd really play with that. Get it tuned as best you can, and honestly, the tuning it's at right now is going to be damn close. This, what the hell is this? Are these 100 and... I think these are 112 cc's like the 750, somewhere in that range. Your XP, I think, is going to be right at 100 cc's, so this is damn close. It's going to be a little bit rich, more than likely. And again, we're probably not running the same fuel mix, but this should be close enough to at least get it running and try tuning this idle air mixture and see if that cleans it up a little bit. If it doesn't, then I have to assume that we've got enough air leakage here to cause a problem. Now we can test that. In fact, we'll test right here on this saw that I know is running in a way that's predictable. And I'll get my can of carburetor cleaner and get it running again, and we'll see just how much leakage there is if I can figure out how to screw this damn camera back on. Alright. Get that viewfinder back. And where is... You know what? I'll settle for electronics cleaner. That'll burn just as clean. You have a suspected air leak up on a place like this. I'll show you this trick for seeing if you do. See if we can get it running again. That, folks, seals the deal. Air leaks. Both carbs. So, I don't know, Chantz, how you want to go about it. You could keep an eye out on eBay for new carbs. You might be able to adapt a C-series carb onto here. I mean, they're the same HL series. These should be jetted just a little bit bigger, but there might be enough flow in a, say, a 141, HL 141, but it's not going to have the accelerator pump over here. So, and this may be something you just end up living with, or who knows, maybe some NOS HL 222s will pop up on eBay or some point, but that's what's going on.